I can't point the finger because a lot of the times when we're arguing, we want to just point the finger and blame somebody else. Is the easiest thing to do. But if I go back and I take responsibility for what I could have done different, and I could have said to you like, hey, listen, fucker, this is what I'm feeling right now. I feel unworthy. I feel unloved. I feel unseen. Whatever it is, like you would have done something different. I know deep down your intention is always good.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Sex podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host.
That's right, Vivian Villacis.
So welcome to the God, Money, and Sex podcast. If you're watching us for the first time, just make sure you subscribe, that you comment here in the YouTube video or the iTunes podcast, Spotify podcast. Follow us everywhere. Make sure that you comment on Instagram, Facebook. We're doing this podcast live, so if you have any questions, make sure you comment on the comments so we could answer these questions. And we either address it right now, we'll address it
or
next
time.
podcast that we have.
Yep.
So we have a spicy topic today. I think this is a topic that we actually have a lot of challenges with ourselves, but we get a lot of comments of people asking us, can you help us solve this problem? So give us a topic, Vivian. What's the problem that
Can you help us solve the problem?
That we're going to solve today?
We cannot help you solve the problem. But what I think happens in a lot of marriages or a lot of relationships is like when you have a conflict, when you have an argument, we don't know how to come out of it, or we get stuck in this argument and we get stuck in this vortex and we get lost, and there was so much happening. So the big question for this week was, how can we have conflict and still be able to come out of it alive?
So here's one thing I tell you, like men and women, we speak completely different languages.
Yes.
So for all the men out there that listen to me, I feel you. I feel your pain. I feel what you're going through, because sometimes we need to have conflict in order for us to have deeper connection.
Yes.
But every time that as a man we want to fight and we want to go ahead and have the conflict, most of the time women will treat us like assholes, because we use the warrior part of ourselves to fix the conflict, to have the argument. So if we don't know how to deal with that, and the energy from a woman doesn't know how to I guess communicate with that, most of us, we end up losing the fight. So from a woman's perspective, how should a man deal with conflict? How should a man communicate conflict or not?
Right. Well, before we get into it, I think I also want to say, like, it's not bad if you have conflict in your relationship. Like, I feel like almost like there needs to be some sort of disagreement. There needs to be like this conflict and arguing, and because you can't always agree. If you're always agreeing on something, it's just going to be boring.
It's boring.
It's going to become like this mundane thing that you do, and you're not standing up for something that you believe in. And I think, thinking back is like there was so much that was unsaid for me in the past, only because I was avoiding having those fights with you.
That's what happens.
And I was just tired, and I'm like, I'm not going to deal with it. I just don't want to go through with it. And I would let it go, and I would bury it, and I would suppress it, and I would just put it aside. But then when something happened between the two of us, I was just like a bomb, and everything exploded, and then everything came out, and it was just like bigger than it should have been. So one, I don't think it's bad to have arguments. I just think that, a lot of the times we make it wrong, and then we think like, okay, if we're arguing, then that's not good in a marriage. I don't think that. I think we need to have that.
As a couple, we need to evolve to see and pick the arguments, to pick the fight. So I want to tell a story. You said, what story you want to share? So I'm going to share a story at the beginning of our marriage. I think it was like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
That we constantly were fighting. We constantly were not on the same page.
Yes.
We got married 2 years into the marriage.
Yes.
I remember one of my business partners invited me to a party in a yacht in New York City.
Okay.
And I came out of work and I said, babe, we're going to go to this party and we're going to invite invited to this boat. And, do you want to go?
Uh-huh.
And you said, yeah, I want to go. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to get ready and I'm going to go. I said, okay, great. So I got ready and you were still getting ready. And I said, babe, the boat is leaving. There's like a time, like very few times that I wanted to be on time. And then Vivian turns out to me and she says, you know what? Why don't you just go? Just go and have fun. I really don't want to go and just go.
Oh, I remember.
You see it, like even almost 20 years later, and a woman never forgets.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took you for your word. You said, why don't you go? And as a man, what registers is, okay, she's telling you what
Go.
she wants.
Yeah.
She's telling you to go. And what did I do?
You left.
I left.
You left me.
And I left, and I had a great time. I came back, and it was like World War III in the house. You put my stuff outside. You want me to leave. Kick me out. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like
Yes.
I did exactly what you told me. I didn't fight you, and I still lost.
Okay.
So how should we have handled the situation? And we go back 20 years
That's
into
so
a
funny.
time
Like
machine.
there were so many fights, and it's so funny because we really don't fight as much as we did in the past. Because now we have a process, or at least I have a process for myself that I go through this. So like, I remember clearly that night. It's like, here's the first thing. Like, if you want to have a conflict with your wife or with your spouse, then rush her. Because for the feminine energy to feel rushed and to feel like you got to go now, that is just like, it's so like stressful to our body, and then it puts us into like this
Shock.
almost like a frozen state. We just freeze, And I remember just saying like, okay, you know what? I can't look beautiful. I'm never gonna get it right. I'm just not gonna go. Thinking that you're gonna say, no, babe, like I'm gonna give you some time, get ready, we have to go together, I need you, I want you by my side. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. But here's the thing that happens when we're fighting, and looking at it now from the Vivian today, what I do now in this process is like, what am I feeling at that moment? And I actually have to stop and like breathe and pray and like ask God for the wisdom that I need, and almost kind of like not tell you exactly what I'm feeling at the moment, because it's not going to sound right. It's going to hurt you, and it's just going to turn into the World War III that we used to have. But it's almost like, how can I transform what I'm feeling and be able to express it and tell you like what is really happening for me at the moment. So imagine if I would have said to you when you left, or before you left, like, please don't rush me. Like, I really need a little bit more time because I feel like I don't look beautiful enough.
It would have been a complete different outcome. I mean, and that's
Yes.
the part we want to understand. Like, and I want listeners to understand, women are liars. They never say what they mean.
Only because we don't know.
And I was gonna say, mostly because you don't know how to process it.
Yes.
You just say things that comes out as an emotion.
Yes.
And if you're a woman listening to this, understand, like, we men are very simple. You tell us
Yes.
what to do. You tell us what not to do. Sometimes we do the shit that you tell us not to do, and we get in trouble, and we know.
Yes.
And then when we get in trouble for doing things that you tell us to do,
You're
we
like,
get
what
confused.
happened? Yes.
We're
I get
confused.
it.
So I
get
have
it.
many stories like that.
I get
And
it.
even as simple as, could you take out, the garbage, or could you put the water outside?
Yeah.
And
you
if
don't do it.
If you don't do it at a specific time, you get pissed.
Yes.
And now I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I say yes, I'm gonna do it. Like,
Yes.
but it's not the end of the world. It's not like the garbage guy is not gonna come out right now. So
I
I'll do
know.
it when I have time to do it.
I know, but the thing is, like, you also have to understand like how we feel is like we are asking for something, and we are thinking like, I am the center of the universe. Like, listen to me, see me. This is what I'm asking for. This is my request. I need it done right now. Like, if I'm asking you for something, you expect for things to happen. And part of it is like letting go of that control that we think that we have with our partners. And that's the part that I have to let go little by little, because it's a process, like I said, like, we haven't fought in a long time, only because I am learning to really express what I feel. And I tell you, like, listen, like, I could really explode right now, but the truth is, what I'm feeling right now, or what you're making me feel, is that I am not worthy enough, or I am not loved enough right now by you, and I need you to love me a little bit more, because if not, I'm gonna like blow up, and this is not gonna look pretty. And that's
and that's exactly what happens. Like,
Yes.
you bottle so much stuff
and then
inside,
it's like, "Rawr,"
and
the
then you
rage monster
explode,
comes
and
out.
then we don't know how to handle it. So
Yes. So for me, it's been a process of like, okay, what is the real emotion? Like, what is it that I'm really feeling? Like, underneath this frustration and anxiety and fear, like, what is the real feeling of it? And then for me, having to express that feeling takes a lot, because I'm not ready to express my real feelings. And even though I may know it at the moment, we just need our space. But here's the thing, like, what we've done in the past that I know happens for a lot of couples, and I speak to them all the time. Like we don't come back and deal with it.
We deal with it.
We deal with it. We suppress it, and then we just like put it aside. But the space is not clean, meaning the space between.
You mean when there's a challenge, when you feel a certain way and you don't say it and you don't deal with it at the real time, it just continues to build up, and build up, and build up.
So a lot of the times what we do is we avoid it and we put it aside, so we don't come back. So this is, in the conflict and the argument, we don't come back and we don't clean the space for what happened. So me thinking back on this situation that you're saying, like, you left me. You actually never really said that you were sorry for leaving me that day. And you went and you had a good old time. And you were supposed to come back, say, at 12 o'clock midnight, like Cinderella. But yet you came back at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's a great party.
Yes.
It was a great party.
And like, you never took responsibility for that. So maybe the reason why I still remember is because you never cleaned the space.
Come to think about it, I think I never...
Even now just makes me like...
We never actually had closure on it. So maybe we should have closure on it. So I think maybe you should apologize for telling me to go and getting mad at me.
I would apologize
for leaving. So that's the crazy thing.
Yes.
And this is what
for doing something I told you to do.
Coming back we just came back from an Beyond the Edge event with my guys. I took them to a cabin in the Poconos, and we went to do some stuff, and we were talking about this concept of holding the space, and holding the space for a woman. And not taking the pain and not making it personal, right?
Okay.
And I think that's, as I look back on the Raul 20 years ago that dealt with it, like, okay, he was following directions. You said leave, he left.
Yeah.
And
it was all about space.
But at the same time, it was all about him. He was living on for himself. He was like, okay, you want to come with me? We'll have a great time. You don't come with me?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And he had a great time.
So then in that time, I never felt like I was really part of that equation. So imagine, like,
because
looking back, how I felt
when men and women get together, they have to learn how to connect and understand that there is a cause and effect.
But at the beginning of a relationship, or when you're having this conflict, it's like you have such little awareness of what's happening. Like, listen, 20 years later, we're just
and that's a feminine
trying
energy.
to get it together.
And that's a feminine energy that never forgets an anchor situation when they've been hurt, when they've been in pain, they've been left, they've been left behind, and we have many situations that we probably could recall.
Yes, but what a beautiful realization for me right now that you give me is that if I would go back, like if I could go back and meditate on, especially on this moment, right? We're talking about it. If we could go back and I could just see, like, if I can't point the finger, because a lot of the times when we're arguing, we want to just point the finger and blame somebody else. It's the easiest thing to do. But if I go back and I take responsibility for what I could have done different, and I could have said to you, like, hey, listen, fucker, this is what I'm feeling right now. I feel unworthy. I feel unloved. I feel unseen. Whatever it is, like, you would have done something different. I know deep down your intention is always good. Maybe, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, and you would have given me 10 more minutes, and I would have gotten together and we would have left together. It would have been different. I wouldn't have that memory, because it would have been like, okay, it's cleaned, it's cleared. He took responsibility for it. I took responsibility for it, and then it's done. It's out of the files in my memory. So
maybe now we could do it. I'll take full responsibility for doing exactly what you told me to do. No, I'm just kidding. I take full responsibility. So because that's what we do. We take responsibility, but we still leave you with the pain.
So
I could say I take full responsibility for doing the same shit that you told me to do.
So let me just teach you something.
Okay, I'm learning. Today's gonna be
a learning experience. Again, this is like we like teach each other all the time. When you're going to take responsibility, you're going to say, I'm sorry. Don't say, I'm sorry, but all you have to say is, like, truly what you're sorry for. And listen
taking
before.
The daggers for you guys.
I
did this for you so you can have a teaching moment.
Yes. Listen before you continue. It's like, be sincere about what you're going to say you're sorry for, because also, like, when you're taking responsibility for something and you're saying you're sorry for something, and if you're not, we feel it. We feel it, and then we feel like you're just mocking this moment. Might as well you have said nothing at all.
Oh, see, and that's what gets men pissed off.
I know,
because we're doing the shit that you said you want us to do. we get in trouble for doing that, then we apologize for that, and it's still not enough.
Yes.
And and looking back, and what's coming through is that we're always at war. Like when you came to the studio, you even asked me, like, Raul, do you even want to do the podcast, because I know that you're busy, I know you're doing something else. And if we are at war, the last thing we want to do is be at war with a partner, with our wives.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of us, what we do is like, yes, honey, whatever the fuck you want. You want an apology? I'll give an apology. You want me to do this? And that's where...
But it's not a sincere apology, and it's felt.
And that's where we fall on having that emotional fitness to actually know that, okay, we're going to be at war of business.
Yeah.
We need to be prepared to also be at war with our partner, because we're not fighting each other, but we're growing together.
Yes. And it's okay to fight, and it's okay to have this arguments.
Both people,
yes.
sharpens the couple, as long as the intention is, this is not the end.
Yes. And I think also, like, especially now, and the reason why we're having this podcast is like to gift you this, listeners out there. It's like we have so many fights, we made so many mistakes, they're just endless, and like, oh my gosh, endless times that we fought, and like we've done crazy things. I can't even begin to like tell you guys.
Don't go back there.
No, I don't.
Stay here.
Oh my God.
I don't want you to short circuit. We've done a lot of work. You see, doesn't matter how much work the guy does.
You could always go back.
You can always go back.
Yes.
And that's what has to be a never-ending work. Like we have to continue to do the work. Especially some of you guys have been assholes for such a long time that you expect your wife to shift and to change.
It takes
from
time.
one to another. And it's been like years of rebuilding, years of connecting, and years of doing the work, and being a place that we could actually talk about this and laugh about this without having this turn into another argument or another fight, and say like, you never, like, you always remember this, or you always done this. And that's usually what we could have done, is use a little thing like this that happened 20 years ago, and bring us back to that place as if we never left.
Right. So that's another thing that happens too for a lot of couples. And I read a book about it, and I don't remember the exact author, but if it comes through, I'll link it. And she was saying something about when we argue, we use, especially women, we have this kitchen sink. It's a kitchen sink arguing, meaning you go to the sink and you just start throwing all this memories, all this times that you fought and then were never, cleaned, that were never talked about, and you just start remembering stuff about your sister-in-law and your mother-in-law, and when you were late from the party, and when you didn't look at me wrong, and when you,
and it's a trigger. It
triggers, like everything, it just keeps coming up.
It triggers all the bad memories. It triggers everything. So,
and then imagine like standing in front of a dirty kitchen sink, and then there is a whole pile of dirty dishes, all your dirty arguments that you never dealt with. Like, who wants to start washing those dishes at that time? It's just an overwhelming feeling. And so a lot of the things don't get addressed. So if one thing I could say that I've learned along this 20 years of marriage is to deal with the situation that's in front of us, and not just suppress it or make it look pretty from the outside, but actually like really take my time, especially for women like are listening. Take your time to feel whatever emotion that it is, whether it's anger, like that anger is trying to tell you something. Like, what is that anger really about? And then express it, not with anger, but express like, what is the true meaning behind that anger? Like, why are you feeling angry? And a lot of times I ask myself, I'm like, okay, why am I really feeling angry? Is it because I feel like he's not paying enough attention to me? Because I feel like I'm not loved enough, or I'm not seen enough. And that's always like my big thing. That's what I feel. I'm sure I'm the only one. And then I have to really learn how to express it, because a lot of the times for women, we don't know how to express it.
And that's what I said, like a lot of women, like most women are liars because they don't know
I know it's not so
emotions.
harsh.
But at the same time, as men, we need to understand that the feminine energy, it's okay for them not to know. And I think that the emotional fitness comes in as a man to hold the space. That, okay, I know that you don't even know what you want, and I know that you're telling me to go, but now I have to have enough emotional awareness to really see, okay, is this useful or not useful? Me leaving that moment, like, is this gonna cause more damage than good?
Yes.
Are you really telling me to leave, or or are you really telling me stay, hold the space for me?
Yeah.
So
is it a cry for help? And a lot of the times, like, we're asking you for something completely different.
But don't expect your woman to tell you what to do. And I think that's where a lot of, like, we have our connection with a woman from our mothers, right? And if you
Right.
look at the background, mothers always tell the kids what to do. So when we get married, we expect you to be the same way, like do this, do that. And the
Yeah.
moment that you start short circuiting and doing and saying things that is not, we get confused and we're like, fuck, like what does she want?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we are war in the business, we are war in the office, and we come home and the last thing we want to do is have another war. So that's where we
Yes.
just rather just put it in the side,
Or become
not
a
argue,
pleaser.
and become a pleaser. And that's
Yeah.
when the polarity shift. That's when the
Yes.
relationships start falling apart and the
Yes.
disconnect happens.
Yes.
And what we've done is really look at ourselves and, okay, what do we want? Okay, my job is not to fight you. Your job is not to fight me. Our job is to sharpen each other's edge, and to know that every time that you give me feedback, because that's what argument is.
Yes.
Argument is feedback.
Yes.
If your woman is calling you out, if you're calling me out, it's something that is real that I need to work on. It's like,
Yes.
you know, if I could say that you're crazy, but at the same time I could look at myself and say, okay, where do I need to level up? Do I need to learn how to hold space? Do I need to learn to listen better? Do I need to learn to pay attention to it? Do I need to make more deposits on the quality time? Or do I choose just to ignore it and let that build up?
And make it worse.
I'll make it worse.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to handle your woman, if you don't know how to handle your relationship, and then you're going to escape that, it's just going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worse. And eventually that energy is going to drain out of you, because you're going to build a monster in the back of your head, because you're going to be at the office, you're going to be in your business thinking about what I could have done, should have done at home. And that's the guilt and shame that a lot of men live with. Like, fuck, I can't please her anywhere. Like, what does she want?
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that, like how heavy is to carry that energy with you the whole time, instead of really making the time and effort to clean up that mess, to clean up that energy. And I know it's easier said than done, because we've been in this place, like in the past, we've let like weeks go by until we make the time and space to talk. But the faster that you create the space, and I say create because I really think that between a relationship, you need to create a space that you feel safe enough to talk, and really when the other person is ready to listen. And that doesn't happen often. I think a lot of the times we're just like, okay, wherever we are, then we start talking, but it's not the right time, and then it's not the right space,
time and the place.
right? So yeah, to create that space, because if you let time go, it doesn't heal.
Time is your enemy.
It
Time
doesn't
is your
heal.
enemy.
Yeah.
And as you can see, 20 years later, you still have that pain of not cleaning space. So I'll tell you right now, I take full responsibility for leaving you that day. I will never leave you. You're beautiful. You don't have to take hours to get ready. You're an amazing, beautiful woman. And I'll wait for you until the end of the world if I have
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry.
and that's honest. Truly, like I know that it's so many things that we've done, and so many times that we've hurt each
Oh
other.
my gosh.
So many times
Stop
that
it. You make me
so
cry.
many times that we've made mistakes, but
We have made
this
so many
is
mistakes.
what brought us here. This is what we create
Yeah.
by learning from the failures, learning from mistakes.
And that's a genuine apology. And imagine like how, like now that you're saying that, like it's so heartfelt. Like I truly do feel like you saying that. It's like I'm not only crying because of that time, but I also like there are so many women right now that are arguing. They're going through such a hard time that don't feel seen or heard and loved. And it's like, can you take that energy and do something better with it? And I know how difficult it is, but it's like, and man, if you're hearing this, like you see how simple it is, like for your word, for your presence to just take that back, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, you know what, I'll never bring it up again because I feel like you got me, like you understand me. And I think that is the most important thing in a relationship. Like we want that. And it's a lot of the times for women, it's like we are afraid to be vulnerable, and we think that vulnerability is it's weakness. And for a long time, that's what I felt. It's like, I'm not going to show him my vulnerable part. I'm not going to show him my tears. I'm not going to show him my true emotions, because he's hurting me, and my protective mechanism has to come up, and I have to take care of my heart because I've been hurt so many times. But really it wasn't getting me anywhere, and the arguing and the bickering was just getting worse and worse, until I decided, like, you know what, I have to be honest, and I have to really show him my heart. And I know, like, we've had so many fights in the past where, like, I had to, like, really show you how much you hurt me, like how much you really, like, you cut my heart, like, into pieces. And me showing you that vulnerable part of me was like, not to tear you down, but to show you this part of me, this part that I was scared to show. And I know for a lot of women right now in this place where we live in, of like, you know, like, I got it together. Like, we don't have to be in that place. I think, like, the more that we show ourselves truly who we are from this vulnerable place, actually vulnerability has a lot of strength. And from that place, so much could change. And I know, like, so much changed for us in our relationship when I really showed you, when I really took you into what, like, I was feeling.
Well, it gives me the opportunity for me to see what I'm doing. It gives me the opportunity for me to actually take ownership and feel that.
Yeah.
Because what you did right now with your vulnerabilities actually made me feel the responsibility to really take that and make whole. And I think a lot of women and men, what we don't understand is what I do to you, I'm doing to myself. And really what I'm just creating a facade or creating a brick wall is just a separation within myself.
Yeah.
And then we come back together and realize that the more you work on yourself, the more I can work on myself.
Yeah.
Then we become a whole person, and we come together and we could create a powerful experience than just thinking about just what I'm feeling or what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And just giving the opportunity for that person to come in and really feel you.
Yeah.
So thank you, babe. Thank you for sharing that. And this is an opportunity for us to teach the experience, because we can't even make this up. I mean, this wasn't even planned. We had a topic and we created an experience around the topic.
Yeah, but definitely, like, there's so many marriages right now that are going through so much conflict. And, you know, the minute that I think you actually take yourself, take like the I out of the equation, and you start thinking about the other person, I think also changes a lot of things.
So just to recap, hold the space, man. If you're watching this, if you listen to this, like, your woman is not going to tell you what to do. You have to feel it. You have to really start thinking, is this useful or not useful? Does she need me to leave? She needs me to connect with her. What does she need? And once you start taking that feedback, then you could apply that and take ownership. Take ownership of whatever she's feeling, whether it's your fault or not. Just take ownership, because what she's giving you, what she's telling you, is what you need to expose on yourself in order for you to grow and level up. And the third is, no matter what happens, arguments is just sparks. There has to be passion behind the arguments.
Yes.
Worry when there are no arguments.
Yes.
Worry when you don't care about the person, because afterwards it's numbness and there is a complete disconnect.
Yes.
So hopefully this podcast has served the point and has served some men and women out there that are going through this.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us everywhere except for our bedroom. We keep it private. Till next time, thank you for listening. Yep. Learn it, live it, experience it.
Love life.